Well, once again, Kenny, you knocked it out the park, you and Joe. Convertible top man. You guys in the local Atlanta metro area, check him out. He's mobile, he'll come to you. He does a beautiful job. He's been doing it for how long?
Welcome to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. On this episode of Sam's Garage, Lokar Performance brought a new cold air intake kit for Sam's 67 Cadillac DeVille. The Saleen Mustang gets a new convertible top installed to replace the old worn-out original one. Rod End Supply is in the house to talk about all the different products they offer for your own projects. And Sam's brothers lend a hand installing new headlights in the brothers' Chevy HEMI truck project. Kevin and Travis from Lokar Performance helped Sam install a new cold air intake on the 67 Cadillac DeVille. The kit from Lokar is a builder's kit, which means it can be custom fit for all types of applications. Sam can already hear that new intake driving down the road, not to mention the performance gains.
This week we got Kevin and Travis back in the shop. We're going to continue on with our 63 Fuelie injection setup on the 67 Cadillac, and this week we're going to be installing a cold air intake.
This is actually something we developed to go side and side with the 63 Fuelie. This mimics a 63 Corvette intake.
This right here, that's the kind of can you would put on.
And you'd have the tubes come down, it'd be strapped to the fender. It's kind of an iconic look, but it's universal. A lot of the C10 guys really love this setup.
Nice 4-inch intake.
Yeah, they tend to have a little more room than you height-wise. Your fenders are so tall. We're gonna have to come up with a good way to do that, but we sell this as a builder's kit. So you get a couple elbows, a 90, a 45. You get the main piece here is this spun metal can, and then you put the filter inside.
Cane and filter.
That's right. Excellent. And we give you this bellow just as a starting point, because you don't know what you're going to need. We recommend you have some extra pipe available, some fittings and boots and things like that.
And you can get that kind of stuff, Spectra, at your local auto parts store like O'Reilly, AutoZone, Advanced Auto Parts.
Right, and this is nothing too special. I mean, it's 4-inch steel exhaust tubing. So.
Well, cool. Let's see if we can make it fit on the Cadillac. Travis, what do you think?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. We are in the mock-up phase of our cold air intake setup. Right now, we're going to make sure that we have hood clearance. So we got the can where we like it, along with the piping. We have a cold air right here. This is opposite the engine bay. It's over there. So we can get cold air right here. But first, we want to make sure everything fits. So we're going to close the hood.
Travis and I kind of figured out a good map for this intake using the elbows that you had. So we ended up with a 90 and a 45. We were able to come around here. We're going to route through here. This is where your original cold air intake was. We've got these rags in here because we're pretty tight on clearance, but we're going to solid mount this to the motor. So we'll make a simple bracket here. We'll tack weld this all up, tack weld this, put our clamps on, remove all our spacers, and see how we like it. Okay. And we may end up needing another bracket here.
Okay, sounds good.
And then when we're all done, we'll button it up and see how this actually flows out of the engine compartment. But even right now, we've got some fresh air.
Yeah, we got absolute fresh air.
And I know what this is going to look like on TV, that we did it just, but this is a builder's kit. This is not really going to bolt itself in. There's no particular way that it fits any particular car. You know, we had to clearance for a few things. It made the car a little harder to work on. So
That's okay, it's well worth it.
Yeah.
That look right there is well worth it, and the performance that we're gonna gain from it is well worth it. And when you're doing a builder kit, you always wanna go slow. You wanna take your time, measure, because you're only given so much material, so you don't wanna waste that material. Take your time, measure, mock it up multiple times, then when you're finally happy with it, set it in place.
Make sure the hood doesn't hit.
Very true. We tried that several times. Make sure the hood does not hit.
Yeah.
Awesome, looks beautiful. But how about those headlight covers, huh?
That looks really good.
That is OEM Cadillac.
Is it really?
I haven't seen another one like it in the country.
That looks good.
But that looks even better,
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
you know?
It's a nice looking intake. It looks really good with the car.
It really does. Period, correct. I love the rake on it. I love the whole style of the fuel rails. It's gonna be nice and quiet. Now I'll be able to hear the engine actually breathe.
Well, I mean, now that you've got a full-size air filter on this thing, you'll actually feel the performance too.
Sounds like he's making fun of me. What do you think?
Maybe just a
A
little.
little bit. All right, so next week we're gonna get back on our Jeep Wrangler project and we're gonna put a set of gears and some more power steering equipment on Kevin's Wrangler.
Boy, it needs those gears.
It does need those gears, especially with the 43s on there.
Yes.
It's
But
a
it looks-
392.
It needs
It
the
looks
gears.
so good though with those tires.
Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NH Oil Undercoating. Sam and Doug sit back and relax while the Saleen Mustang receives a new canvas convertible top. The original top was made from a vinyl material and was starting to show its age. Kenny from Convertible Top Man is local to the Atlanta area and is the best in the business.
Well, Doug, this is a pretty good rip.
It is, Sam.
27 years old, I think it's time for a new top.
I agree, Sam. When I take a look at all of the edges on the seams onto it, you know, things are just starting to let go. So I absolutely agree. Let's just plan on replacing it.
So this week we've got the convertible top man coming in and he's gonna be putting a new cloth top onto this Mustang for Doug. It's gonna come with a new rear glass. It's gonna be glass with the defrost in it, and I got you a new sticker from Saleen
Good.
so that everything is correct.
Yeah.
All the Mustangs from 64.5 to 94 had pinpoint vinyl. Even if it says 12 of 94, even though it's titled a 95, that's going to be pinpoint vinyl. If it's titled 95 and stamped 95 from then on, all the way up until 2014, that material is going to be either canvas, stay fast, or sailcloth. Just say this was completely stripped. The headliner was out. This bow will flop all the way back and forth. So you got to know where that bow needs to be. There's a certain bow height. Once I bolted the back end and then stapled it up to here, the pads were still attached, so that held this bow right where it needed to be. When you're installing the pads, like I said, you got to make sure this rear bow is in the right spot. But you can see how tight this is right here. That lets me know it's in the right spot. There's 3 different staple sizes I use. I use 1/4 inch staples, 1/2 inch staples, and 3/8 of an inch staple. The rear bow, the thicker the tacking strip, the longer the staple you need to use. So back here I use 1/2 inch staples, and they're all stainless staples. These bars here, that's a shorter tacking strip or less thick tacking strip, so I use 3/8 of an inch staples. At the very front of the top, that's a real thin tacking strip, 1/8 of an inch, so I use 1/8 of an inch staples. When you're installing the top, you center the back window, but what I do is I'll measure 12 inches from here over to here, and then you adjust the top, and that makes it automatically centered. You've got your defrost grids going down each side of the glass, and you want those to be hidden by the top. After you install your pads, instead of just putting the top on like this, where it can show impressions, we'll take a thin layer of foam. Any kind of good padding would work, but you don't want it too dense or too thick. So this here really compresses, and that'll be glued on, so it'll be a nice smooth look all the way across. On this particular car here, just leave the top up since it was just put on. Leave it up for 10 days, 2 weeks, let it stretch out. Don't use soap on it, just rinse it off. That's about it.
I really like the new cloth top. I mean, the colors with the car, it really sets it off. You know, it's going to be most of the time folded up. But when I need it, it's going to be there, and man, that looks sharp.
Nice little upgrade, and it's going to upgrade that's not going to affect the value of this car.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and it looks fabulous, just fabulous.
And you're going to look so fabulous driving it.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Today we're going behind the scenes of one of our sponsors' businesses. NHOU is the company that really advanced the technology and engineering of undercoating oil. In fact, NHOU is the fastest, least expensive way to add safety and value to vehicles, sealing out corrosives and eliminating rust. NHOU is a family business, and every part of that business is still run by the family that founded it over a decade ago. But now that family has grown into hundreds of dealers, resellers, and now NHOU mobile franchises across the country and around the world. And when the family gets together, they celebrate big. Last summer, they hosted the first NHOU annual cookout, and they had it all. Amazing food, the racing team.
Welcome back to more Sam's Garage, presented by NHOU. Bob Douglas is at Sam's Garage to showcase some of the products offered by Rod End Supply. Whether you're running a go-kart, sprint car, midget, modified, late model, or tractor, Rod End Supply has an assortment of rod ends, radius rods, and specialty products that will help you lead the field in performing at your maximum potential.
We're going to show you guys what's on the table and what makes Rod End Supply so special.
We've got a lot of parts to show people. We make a lot of different types of rod ends. We have an economy rod end. We have a precision 3-piece rod end. And then we also have our injection molded race rod end.
When you say injected molded, what do you mean by that?
It's called a loaded slot design is one particular name for it. There's actually a groove cut inside the body. We load the ball, then we injection mold our red nylon fiber material that we manufacture into that. What this does is this eliminates you from having to do any lubricating. You don't have to clean it. You don't do anything. If you notice, once we injection mold it, it goes all the way around the body. And it will take the place of a Teflon liner. Teflon liners have a tendency to bead out, and then the balls get loose and sloppy, and then once you see the liner starting to creep out of them, then they're done for. You might as well pull them off and put a new one on.
Now you make all these for anyone out there, gearheads, industrial, and race applications, correct?
Absolutely. Most all these parts can be used in industrial. We do everything NASCAR, go-karts, animatronics for Disney. We do stuff all the way up to the monster trucks, which gets into some pretty large size rod ends, such as this one. It's got an 1.25 inch thread. It's got a 1-inch hole in the ball. And then sometimes they need more misalignment where the ball has to articulate further. Right. When they do that, we neck down the size of the bolt. This is a 3/4. And then when we put this in there, it gives you a lot more articulation. And then we also have a bushed end, which this is used a lot of times on Jeeps and other type of off-road equipment. And then
what would you use something like this for?
These particular things here, this is what we call a uniball. This uniball goes inside this cup. You can weld arms on it, make your own A-arms, a lot of different things that you can do with it. Once again, this uniball is set so we've got high misalignment spacers in it, so you've got more articulation.
That's pretty cool. And you sell the rods as well right there?
Yes, we have aluminum and steel swedge tubes. We also have a tube that we actually weld what we call bungs in. We have a left-hand thread and a right-hand thread in the other end. And so that way it becomes an adjustment link, like a tie rod on a truck.
So we're going to be building new tie rods and end links on the Chevy HEMI project. What did you bring for us to be able to obtain a nice sleeve?
We have our weld-in bungs. These are made out of 4130 chromoly steel. This is the right hand, this is the left hand, and we indicate the left hand with a notch, so that way you know which one it is. put one in each end. Cut off the thread. Then the rod end itself, these are chromoly steel. This is the nylon fiber version. And then we can also put a stud that's fixed in it, so you just don't have to put a bolt in it. So we can do that as well. So once we get done, we get these welded up, screw the rod ends in, then you can hook everything up.
Sounds like you got the answer to all my needs here on the Chevy truck. So why don't we take some measurements, get what we need done. We'll do some cutting, welding, and we'll get ourselves some new tie rods and sway bar end links. Next week, don't forget to join us. We're going to show you how to make all this and install it on the truck.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Sam's Garage, presented by NHOU. Sam's brothers are back on the set to help Sam install some new high-tech headlights. They team up to function test the painless wiring harness installed in the truck to make sure that everything is wired up correctly.
Back at it this week with my brothers, with the Brothers Truck Chevy HEMI project. Last week we got ourselves the charging system taken care of. We put our brother's battery box in. We put a 24F marine battery in the vehicle. So last week we got the charging system done because we're going to this week install our headlights, headlight buckets, tail lights, and tailgate straps. So we have to have current to be able to test the circuit and make sure we've done everything right, and then we should have lighting. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it's good, and that deep cycle battery will actually keep it charged for a while, so it's good.
And save you money. And it's all about saving money today, isn't it? That way you got more money for the project, and the wife will stay with you. Bobby, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to hook up our power probe, power and ground. This is going to allow us to circuit test everything, okay? So this is a new age light going in an old age car. I got this from Brothers Truck Parts. What we want to do is function test the light so we know what wire is what, so we're good to go. But for you guys at home who want to test it, ground goes to ground. Check this side. That looks like high. Check this side. That is low. Then we got these two wires here. You see there's no black wire here. They use a common ground. So this is going to be for the halo. You got one that's daytime running lights that comes on with the parking light, which is this one. Okay. Then when you turn on the blinkers, this one comes on and it's orange. So it's going to do that number, Bobby. What do you think about that? See that?
Cool.
These headlights, because they have a backing that's much bigger, it's basically the heat sink. The OEM bucket does not have room for this backing, so we're going to cut all this out. I've got new ones from Brothers Truck Parts, and I'm going to show you guys what I did to get these to fit, and then we should be able to install the fronts. When the front's good and circuit tested, we'll go to the rears. All right, so you guys saw my brothers and I function test the lights with the wiring. First, we checked the circuit on the truck. Then what we did was check the circuit on the headlights. There's no instructions, so you want to make sure that you're connecting the right wires to the right circuit, high, low, parking, and halos. So we got that done. Then we installed the buckets. We installed the trim ring that adjusts the light of the beam. Then we installed the headlight, the chrome ring around it, and then the beauty ring that covers everything up. Then you saw my brother and I go to the rear with the tail lights. Function tested, made sure we got the right bracket on the right side, meaning one of them is going to be a license plate, and the tail light is going to have a light that illuminates just like a trailer light down onto the license plate. So make sure you get that orientation correct. That way you've got the straps going in nice and clean. You're not hanging out like they used to. We've covered everything as far as the wires go, loomed it up, and put it inside the bed of the truck. Do this right, take your time, function test, do it once, make sure you're nice and straight, put the right components on the correct parts of the truck, and you should be good to go. And because my brother and I started Madavi Motorsports 24 years ago, we topped off the installation with a nice Madavi Motorsports tag. It's a little dirty, but it's okay.
So what are we doing next with this?
I think we're going to do tailgate straps.
Yeah, we are going to do tailgate straps, but we're not going to install these. These are nice. They're from Brothers as well. They come with a template, and these are designed to be Frenched in to the tailgate. This being freshly painted, I don't want to cut into it, probably flake a little bit. Instead, we're going to use the old school, classic, traditional tailgate straps you can also get from Brothers Trucks. Huh? Pretty cool, huh? Well, guys, this Brothers Chevy HEMI project is coming along really well. Arish, you did a really good job. Bobby, you did some too. But what about those grounds?
Yeah, so we made sure we got the chassis ground taken care of and the tailgate straps.
I like it.
Well, you did really good supervising this time.
Hey, that's what I do. I'm the oldest. So.
Well, we're coming along great. We've got the painless wire harness done. We've got the battery box, power and ground. Now we got lighting. The next thing we're going to do is tackle the interior. We've gone to Brothers Trucks. We've got carpet, sound deadening, a mat, seat, rail, and door panels. Headliner as well. It's going to be a long segment, but we're going to handle it. next week. Don't forget to tune in.
Be sure to check out Sam's Garage on these other media platforms. Send us questions and feedback to info@samsgaragetv.com. We saw Kevin and Travis help Sam install a new cold air intake on the DeVille. Doug's Saleen Mustang received a new canvas convertible top which will last for years. Bob Douglas showcased a few of the products they offer at Rod End Supply. And then the Madavi brothers teamed up to install new headlights and tailgate straps on the brothers' Chevy HEMI truck.